Hey guys, welcome back to some Guild of Guardians. Before we get into today's video, we want to hit up and we want to look at the mail right here. So the maintenance did go down. Now we have the two new heroes in here. Also, I got my arena daily, which unfortunately didn't do well. But when looking in here, ranked #1 in the Endless Challenge, which is awesome. 768 in the Rush, which I'm happy about. And then, of course, the ranking for the last season, again, pretty happy about. So we want to go ahead, we want to claim up all of that loot. We'll delete the red ones, meaning that everything is gone. Now, of course, as you can see right in here, we are in Kraktos. Very, very cool. We are already in level 4, moving to level 5. Make sure, guys, that you're doing your donations every single day for your guild, because we know coming shortly, it is going to be the guild aspect of Guild of Guardians, which is going to be super important. Now, in today's video, I do want to look at the two new heroes and kind of give you the impression that I'm getting from over on Discord, that I'm getting from a couple different places. Now, of course, a lot of players have one in there, and I believe over 1,000. Don't know how many of the players that actually bought those seals were able to get the hero, but we do have the two new heroes, and of course, now they're here. That comes with the update, which is Tammy. Essentially, players are calling her Tammy. So looking at the abilities that she possesses, Mind Break. Now, this is pretty interesting. All enemies fall asleep for 4 seconds. So we know there is a boss that kind of does this. So there is going to be a 4-second sleep. At that time, enemies are not going to be able to do anything. So thinking of the PvP aspect for this, this is going to be really, really strong. Then, of course, when they wake up, they take damage. And she is a mage, which is pretty cool. Now, also looking at the Vulos, I think that's how you say it. There is no natural enemy to them. So there is no essentially no more damage that you're going to get from another hero when you start looking in there, when you start looking at the affinity they possess. Then, of course, the second one, Soul Drain. So teleporting behind an enemy, stunning them for the next 3 seconds, which again is kind of the PvP aspect. We see this one with Grizel. Then we do have the Allure. Now, this is the interesting one that a lot of players kind of had the question on. Mind Control all male enemies on the battlefield and have them move slowly towards Tammy for 3 seconds. Now, if there are no males on the battlefield, which again could kind of be interesting, this isn't going to have an effect. So I don't know, again, the kind of the in and outs or the pros and cons of this one. Then, of course, the Fox Fairy. Every 10 seconds, Allure is removed. Teleports behind the random affected enemy to inflict 150% of the attack as magic damage. So overall, looking at the skills and ability this hero does possess, not super impressed. And then, of course, we did get a new tank down here, which we want to look at it as well, which is right here. So Hirni? We'll go with Hirni. So Terra, Strength, and another tank hero. Now, of course, when we start looking at the Generation 1 heroes, when you look at the tanking specifically, there is not many tanks in this game, and there's not many viable tanks. And then again, kind of running through the skills and abilities. So the further that he is from enemies, the more damage reduction he has. So this is kind of interesting because, of course, if he's up kind of tanking face to face, which we know he's going to be doing, the back line is going to be further behind, which means he has a damage reduction. Interesting enough, I don't know how much the damage reduction is and how this is going to be tested and how players will actually see. Now, the active ability is when he, of course, gets the energy and does his ultimate. Become immune to knock up and knockbacks for 15 seconds. Basic attacks deal 150% of attack as area damage. So again, pretty interesting, doing a little bit of damage right in there. But the immune to knock up and knockback, I'm not super impressed with, again, because of the crowd control aspect. Now, looking at the Spirit of an Elk, summons an elk that charges forward, dealing damage, physical damage, and causing knockback. Now, again, remember, the further that enemies are away from this hero, the less damage they are going to do to him. So I think this is essentially a skill that kind of plays into the first skill. And then the final skill in here is, of course, the Divine Tree. When hit by melee basic attacks, have a 10% chance to stun the attacker, which again, this is only melee basic attacks. So again, back line seems like it's going to burn you down. Now, of course, front line with a 30% chance of a stun. Pretty good. Now, I don't know if that's going to take the place of Tigrog that we see right now, but we're going to have to see. And of course, a lot of players have started picking him up. Now, there is another way to get them. Now, really looking at the heroes, and we've seen some pretty good summons out of here, is the Limited Call of the Wild right here. Now, you can see Radiant Tammy can be acquired directly from Erie Store. So if you're looking to buy her, of course, there is only a chance to get her. And again, that is kind of the questionable because there is only a chance to get the Radiant version when you do the summons. It is not guaranteed in there to get the copy. And I believe with the more expensive summon, you have a 50% chance to pick it up. If you're going in there and you're sacrificing Guardians, you do have a little bit of a higher chance. But overall, it seems that neither of these heroes or neither of these heroes are being and really are super effective within the game. I know it is very, very early yet to call it, but it seems like, again, a lot of players that have purchased them or a lot of players that have summoned for them have to find where they fit and if they're going to fit in somewhere, because of course there are a lot of legendary heroes within the game that really don't have a ton of uses. Now, in addition, looking at the crafting, guys, so we finally got to the point. That is right. We are at our maxed out bags. So the Burrower's chest is maxed out, the Horn Satchel, and also the Magic Bag is maxed out. But that also means that I have these bags down here that I believe they were through a purchase we did when we started this game. But now we're not going to be able to use them essentially for anything. And I don't know if there's anything we can actually do with them. Because as you can see down here, or it's actually a little bit behind my camera, is I can't sell them. I can't do anything else with them, short of kind of just move them around in the bag. Again, I don't know if there's something that we can do with them, but we have started building, and I really want to focus on our tank gear. Now, of course, looking in here, want to make sure that we get this chest every single time, because finally getting into tier 6 gear. Now, it wasn't even too long ago that we actually got into the tier 5 gear, but looking at the purchase for the energy, this is a really, really good way to buy it, because when you start looking at, and I got to make sure, again, I pick up this chest, but when you start looking at the ability to get gear in here and really get a lot of higher level gear, it is super expensive. It is very time consuming to get gear, and especially when you start looking at the higher tier gear. Again, you can see we're getting a lot of tier 2s, a lot of tier 3s, and only 1 stone in here. So when it comes to the stones itself, looking at all of this metal, this is actually really, really bad luck in here for the amount that we got. Now, of course, going through the regular campaign progression, and I'll show you. So once we get through here, to unlock level 4, you have to go in the adventure mode and you have to finish the cathedral. So we just actually finished the cathedral, finally got that unlocked. You have to finish out the cathedral to unlock the final set of the tier gear. But then, of course, going through and combining these, we actually do have the ability, and I wish, again, one thing I would love is if they had an auto combine in here, literally just a button to do this itself, because this is super time consuming, as you can see, to pretty much play a matching game over and over and over and just build these up to level 6. And then, of course, doing the 5s to 6. It takes a long time. It does take quite a while. Now, the reason that I'm focusing on the tanks, and I get this question from quite a few viewers, is the reason why we're really looking at it, why we're building out the tanks, is if my tanks fold. So looking at Cyrus, looking at Karek, if my tanks fold, it's game over for the rest of the formation. They literally do get run over in a very, very quick manner if I don't have the ability to really hold the front line, which again makes me think that having the ability to build some really strong defensive gear, even a little bit more of kind of that attacking gear, is going to make a big difference. Now, of course, looking at our inventory, we have been farming a lot of these chests, and it's only tier 2 material right now, but we get 33 stones out of here, which again, trying to get to those higher levels, really finishing them out, getting a lot more of the higher tier stones. It's just a grind. Every single day, guys, that we're grinding in Guild of Guardians, it is just a grind. And of course, the combination of the gear, even looking at our tier 4 bags, didn't get very many stones. And we're trying to take these to tier 6. That's right. And again, I just got to the tier 5, and I feel like I'd really be remiss if I was sitting here, trying to just kind of grind out a lot of tier 5 gear, especially looking at the cost and looking at the ability to build out this tier 6 gear. And of course, with the Forge mode, you have 2 different options. The normal mode, we're going into the advanced mode. So fingers crossed, guys, that we're going to pull a legendary with the materials that we just got out of here. And of course, I'm going to go in for, and I'm thinking boots. So the reason I'm doing boots and really looking here at the generation of the HP, the attack, and the defense, when it comes to the boots, boom, there we go. But I don't have any good boots. I have even a hero that is wearing tier 2 boots right now. But looking there, it is legendary. Look at that. Very, very nice. And it is triple legendary stats. Oh, that is awesome. That is very, very good to see. That is going to be the boots that I'm going to put on CAC. And again, high defense. We have a high HP right there. And I believe looking at my Guardians, we don't want the main and the front line to fold. So even looking at the gear, he has a tier 4 pair. We'll go ahead and put on those tier 6, which gives him a little bit less attack. But we do have to build them up quite a bit. And then let me check out Cyrus. See the same. So going to tier 4 gear. And again, as you can see, we have a tier 5 here. I believe this might be the only tier 5, unfortunately, that I did build at this point. But going to a tier 6 boots. And of course, unfortunately, we don't get the faction bonus on there, but I'm okay with it. Now, with the older gear, we're just going to recycle it. So I'm going to hop in here. We're going to salvage that older pair of boots because, of course, with the stars that we had on this pair of boots, I'm going to go ahead and drop it on the new hero. And it's really to a point where it's incredibly, incredibly difficult to build up a lot of heroes. And again, looking here, I don't even know, what do we got? 3 stars that we can build in here. Now, just like we said before, there's a very, very specific way that you want to build this. When you start looking at building these out is every 3 levels. And I want to tell you why. So when you look at 3 levels, random stat will provide 1 power up. So when we look at attack and HP in here, boom, there we go. HP went up 12,000 HP while our defense went through the roof, enchanting that gear. Every 3 levels, you get the bonus. That is the big thing to remember, guys, is every 3 levels. So when we take this to 3, when we level this up higher to 6, and of course, the higher tier gear that you have, the more expensive it is to build up. But of course, looking here, we did get a Terra vulnerability. I want to see if I can hit up a blacksmith to actually switch that up. And we want to try to get this one a little bit higher. We do need a lot more stones. And of course, one thing that I noted, or really 2 things, is number 1, big thing is, again, with the tier, every 3 levels. So you want 3, you want 6, you want 9, you want 12, you want 15. 15, of course, is the max that I know of right now. But that is definitely where you want to be. Now, also with your heroes, that you want to kind of do the same. So you'll notice right here, we're at 120, 110, 107, 110, 100. Now, the reason behind that is looking at the skills. Even looking here, it is 120, 130, 140, 150. Every 10 levels, you get an additional skill for your heroes, which means I have literally went through, and of course, Leah is going to be my strongest one in here at level 120. But when we go to 110, 107 here, even building on Cyrus, Cyrus is getting all of my scrolls until we pull Cyrus up to that 110 level. Then I'm going to go down and then we're going to look at CAC and I'm going to build him up a little bit further and so on and so forth. We're going to build them up kind of one by one. And also noting that when you look at the gear in here, I did put Grizel's amulet. Since I'm not running Grizel in some of the content, using the amulet on here gave me an 18.75 boost to defense, which is huge for the hero itself. As we continue to build all of our heroes out of here, doing all of our daily quests like we said earlier, it is really the accumulation of everything that you do on a daily basis within this game that really compiles. Going through the summons, going through all of the adventure mode, the endless mode, the rush mode, the arena, every single aspect in here is going to yield you rewards. Those rewards, of course, are going to turn into a bunch of resources that you can buy out of the shop. So when we start looking at the stores itself, you can see we bought out those summoning stones. We bought out the chests out of here for diamonds. The rush store, we kind of went back and forth, and you'll notice that they changed up the Guardians. So on the refresh, you can see a lot of the different Guardians are out of there. And then, of course, this is the most important. When I talk about buying things within the rush store, this is by far number 1, the most important thing you do if you ever want to get your strong heroes even stronger, even if you're running free to play. These souls are really, really important. Now, of course, you can pick these up from sacrificing heroes, but it is very expensive. Now, I really question the calling crystal. This is one, again, when we look at the 2 new heroes that we have available, we can go in there and do a summon with the calling crystals, but a lot of players have used all of their arena points for the award or for the gold, and then, of course, using some of the power stones. But looking at the epic guardians and the legendary guardian in here, the price is super, super expensive. So I'm going to actually pick up 2 of these, and then I think the rest of these, I'm just going to go ahead and pick up some gold in here. Boom, there we go. So that buys out all of my gold, buys out a majority of these crystals. And again, the crystals are pretty expensive, but I do want to do a summons in here. Now, looking at the guild coin, advanced material chest, I'm not sure what level this gives it to us at. That's kind of a good question. You know what? because I know the advanced material box is random material. I'm just wondering if I spend 600 coins in here, if it's going to give me like a tier 1 build out of there. But looking at the chest, legendary gear, epic gear, not worth getting either, because you can see right here, it's tier 2, guys. We are building tier 6 right now as we're doing our summons. All of these are kind of trash, so even looking at the wares, summoning stones, okay, you could build. I'm going to pick up one of these, and I'm going to pick it up just as the experiment to get out of here and see what we get. Then, of course, the endless store, it is about the gear that is in here, and you can see it actually changed. All of the first gear, again, on the rotation is gone. We built one of these bracers. I have to get Cyrus's amulet out of here, or the mantle out of here. And, of course, we do want to get Tybor's as well. This is on a rotation, so some of the older ones are gone. Even looking at the epic gear, you can see we do have a couple different ones that are in here now. Flix's necklace are in here and a few other ones. And then looking at the basic, as much as I like those EXP scrolls, I think I'm going to save it. I think I'm going to save it for the legendary gear. But let me know, guys, should I be buying these scrolls, and should I be buying these really in bulk? Because I know this is going to be a lot of EXP to get out of there. And then, of course, looking at our star stones and our cosmic stones, it's just going to take a little bit more time to actually get those. But let's hop in. We'll do our one summon, and maybe with these 10 stones, again, we've been kind of picking them up. Let's see what we get out of the summon. There we go. This is the first one I think I've done with the calling stones, because they're so expensive, guys. And boom, we get what? 1, 2, we get 3 elites out of there. No legendaries and no new hero, unfortunately. Now looking in here, we have 40. I'm going to do 2 more, because we have to start recycling these heroes. We need souls. Now, we had been talking about it a little bit when it comes to some of these legendary heroes. Even if we're looking, there we go, there's Atticus. But if we're looking, and let me do 2 more. If we're looking to sacrifice some of those legendary heroes to actually build them up, we need a lot more. We need a lot more Guardians. We need a lot more. There's another copy of Flix. So again, we're going to have to keep building those out. Now, of course, not now. I don't know why it's popping up. But looking at the endless, now one thing to note and one thing to remember in this mode is right here. The domain bonus for each active Cinder Guardian increases your score up to 25%. These heroes do not have to be in your party. Let me actually pick up, and I'll show you what we're talking about. Oh, I can't buy any more today. We're bought out already for today. We used all of our tickets. But when you go in here, you want to make sure that even when you have the 10 heroes in your formation, even if there's only 5 that you're using, that you are running the those Cinder Guardians in there to get the bonus and to max out the bonus that you have in there. But all right, guys, so that is going to do it for today's video. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. And as always, thank you guys for watching.